Okay, this is Screencast 8 of the RCS PTM Term 3 screencasts. We'll just use this to run through the mop-up a few of the basic drawing shapes in the basic tool palette that we haven't covered. So, first of all, rounded rectangles, as you might expect, is a rectangle with rounded corners. A couple of modes there. You can define the corner, the roundedness of the corners in the preferences before you draw it, or like any other tool as you might expect, you can define, let's make it even worse, you can define the roundedness later on in the object info. So I've just changed it there, and the size and the X and Y as you might expect. Rounded rectangle. Not a particularly difficult tool, so we'll move on to the oval. Oval, there's three options here, and again, not a complex tool. You can draw ovals in different ways. It depends on what we're depends what reference point, I guess, or what we know when we're drawing the oval. There's not a huge amount of editability in the object info palette for the oval. I'll go into the reshape tool as a separate tutorial, but just to note that the reshape tool would allow me to stretch that oval out a little bit. So it is editable, but just not really in the object info palette as with other things. So that's the oval. Arcs, probably worth spending a little bit of time going through the arcs. I mean, you spend a little bit of time going through the arcs. There are a lot of options along here, 7 of them. So it's really a case of reading the information along there. Click to set the point, click the point for the arc to pass through, and then click the end. I'm not going to go through all these. You can go through all these in your own time. Just one thing to note when you're doing arcs, I'll change the color on this so it makes it a little bit more obvious. Note that the arc has kind of filled itself, so we've got this unclosed arc. Quite a lot of the time when we're doing arcs, well, it really depends what you're doing arcs for, but you may not want to have this kind of pie-shaped fill here. So if you just want the line, if you're just drawing a line for a line drawing, you can turn fill here to none, and that will just leave you the arc. So that might be something to remember. So anyway, what I want you to do is to go along read. If you just hover across, it will tell you, or if you click on the menu here, it will tell you set center of circle, and then we can draw an arc out like that. So it's a completely different way of drawing, very similar kind of arc. Freehand tool here, there's a it's just a tool where you can just click and drag our mouse across. Again, it gives you this kind of fill by default. Again, I'll fill that in so it makes it easier to see. So if we don't want it, just click none. There's a smoothing option, so we can go to a higher smoothingness, if that's a word. Click again, and we've got a different kind of line there. Not the easiest tool to use, so just have a little play and have a look at what the smoothing does. The last one, I think, there's a regular polygon tool. So the number of sides, it doesn't need to be a let's have a look, a hexagon. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a hexagon as it is here, a 6-sided object. Although we'll just demo that. So that's center to edge, center to point, center to edge, and 1 point. Define the length of the sides of the polygon. If I wanted to draw a regular triangle or an equilateral triangle, I just need to change the sides to 3, and I've got myself a triangle. So I accidentally zoomed there. So Though I'm not even going to entertain the spiral. I think I said in my book that I have no idea. Hold my hands up. I have no idea what that spiral tool is used for. So I am just going to leave it alone. So what I want you to do now is to go back on the rounded rectangle, the oval, the arc, the freehand tool, and the regular polygon, and just make some, go through the tools and the subgroups of the tools and make sure you understand what's going on. Once you've done that, we will be able to move on to actually drawing something of worth rather than just drawing these abstract shapes. So again, at the end of this, at the end of Screencast 8, should be able to grab any of these tools up here that I've covered in the last 7 tutorials. We've got some more things to do in the next ones. We've got mirror and rotate, which we'll do, and we've also got reshape and some trimming and things. But we will leave this one here for you to go and play with the last of the basic shapes. See you in the next one.